There is a thin divide between what is perceived as spiritual and paranormal, for they are forever intertwined throughout time. Traveling within the history of the world, we can find examples of spirituality that involves everything from magic, spirits, gods and goddesses, and seers or people said to be able to speak to the dead. We all have our own belief systems. We all have our own truths. So let us possibly bend those truths a bit with some insights and perspectives that may be a bit different than yours, or even give yourself validation for what you see as true. Come sit with myself and the best of the best in research, teaching, discovery, and practitioners of the day. My name is Bear Medicine Walker, and I welcome you to Spiritually Paranormal.
I was ready until I saw your face, and then I was no longer ready. That was out the freaking door. Bye, Felicia. I was had my spill and all. Anyway, hey y'all. I can't hear you, by the way.
Oh yeah, you can. That's because I'm not talking.
Can't hear you.
No? All right. Let me go back out and come in. Hang on.
I got you.
Okay, go
there.
back.
Nope.
Okay,
I heard you for a second. Now I can't hear you.
Again? Not at all.
Can't.
It'll be the Holly show.
Nope, can't hear you. I heard you before you left.
No.
It kicked on for some reason. The mic did, and now it's gone. We're out of Mercury retrograde. What is going on?
Something's doing with me.
Cannot hear. Nope, cannot hear you. Bum, bum, bum. We're going to get this going, folks. We really are. Soon. Where you at, Bear? Come back. Come back. Where are you?
Okay, how about that?
Nope, I can't hear you. What is going on? I mean, I heard you for a moment before you left the first time, and then you were gone.
They can hear us, so it's on your end.
You can hear me. I can't hear you. I've got the sound turned up all the way.
Everybody else is hearing me.
There you are.
Okay.
That's weird.
I've had that kind of a day today, and I was like, wait a minute, this retrograde's supposed to be gone. And just for the record, for everybody tuning in today, when Holly and I did this on radio, it was kind of the same thing. The only difference now is you get to see us making fun of each other.
Right, exactly. Oh, my word.
Go ahead. Let them know what's going on today.
What is going on? Today we're talking about skinwalkers and Bigfoot.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things of where you lie on the measurement of it, because a lot of people out there think like Bigfoot is just a big hoax.
Right.
Same way with the skinwalkers.
Right.
But they go more than that, and it's just kind of interesting to hear everybody's input. So people, if you've got an idea or you want to say something, just say it. We'll keep monitoring, because I think, Holly, you can see the comments now too, right?
No, I don't see any comments.
Okay, well,
wait, do I have to click on chat?
No, don't put anything, because we can hear each other. I'll put them up. Yeah, you're she is. Oh my God. So anyway, while she comes back in, I will have you guys, like, if you have input on things that you want to say about don't touch anything, about anything that you have, or an opinion you guys have, and why you have that opinion. And we're going to kind of start out, I think, about Bigfoot. Let's start out with Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot's easier for me. Skinwalkers, they're extra creepy, whereas Bigfoot, for whatever reason, doesn't really creep me out. It never has. First, I've always said that I believe that one of the reasons they don't get seen as very often is that they have cloaking abilities. I believe completely, just like a chameleon can blend into his environment, so can they. And I also believe, I believe that they are, no, do I say it out loud? I do believe that them, along with skinwalkers, actually, I don't believe they're just spirits. I believe they are alien.
I will venture to say that I think they go through portals or vortexes or something to go here and there. And I also think, when I really did some research on this, and this is something I followed since I was a young kid, but I like the science of it. And I was kind of looking, and I said, what are some of the other names, right? Some of the other names that come up for Bigfoot. There's like over 100 words that people use around the world and have different names for these creatures. They also go back into the early 1800s from when they were first being recorded as being seen, which right. I was just like, wow, that's a lot. And actually the 1800s was specifically like our end, like the UK and all that. If you go over to where the Mongolians were and in the Asian area, it goes back even farther than that. But they call, and I don't know about you, but my kind of take on it after all my life, like I said, I've read about it, followed stuff, is like the Yeti, right? Which is, they used to call it the abominable snowman, the swamp ape down south, right?
Right.
And just Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and then all the tribes have different names for them. I think they're the same creatures. I think they're the same beings. But I mean, of course, if it's born and raised in snow, right, it's going to be white, camouflaged to be white, right? And the same way with the other ones. And I just
like people, just like we're all different, so are they, depending on the region they live in.
Well, the alien thing, actually, there's a show on that's actually been on 3 years. It's the 4th season's coming out pretty soon, I think next month sometime. And what I like about it is the woman that is on it is a scientist. She's actually wrote all kinds of papers. Let me grab her name because I know her. Mira Mayer is what her name is. And she's an American anthropologist. She's studied primates. She's works with National Geographic, and then Jane Goodall, right, who's still alive and did all that primate work with the apes and the chimps and all that. She kind of works with her. So the stuff that they find is fascinating. Right. Just absolutely mind-blowing. Have you heard like down by where you are? Because I know, there's a mountain range, right, that runs through by you guys down south there? Or no?
You're talking about the Appalachian Mountains?
Yeah. Okay.
So
have you heard stories?
You hear a lot of stories in that area, but you hear a lot of stories about all kinds of creatures in Appalachia. Appalachian Mountains actually go all the way over into the UK, into Wales. It was all one at some point.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is crazy. That's really crazy. My thing, because they're like in the mountains, this is not something that we as humans go up and live, or at least not a lot. The majority isn't. And I also think one of the biggest things, and I think people forget this, is 65% of the earth has never been visited by man. That's not including the oceans. That's just land.
Right.
Alaska and the northwest area of the U.S. It's the same way. And I'm like, why couldn't something be there?
And you've got creatures that they don't want to be seen. They don't want to be found. They don't want to interact with people, which I totally get.
Yeah, don't we all?
I completely understand. I completely get it. So they purposely stay out of the way. They purposely stay hidden. They're not out there trying to mess with anyone. People are out there trying to look for them and mess with them.
I find it also fascinating, and you're right, because everybody, and anybody that's really had an encounter with them. A lot of people don't want to say because they're like, well, if I say that, then everybody's going to think I'm nuts.
Right.
And one of the most fascinating things over the past few years for me was going and finding articles, and I don't mean like the Inquirer, you know,
Right.
like, who wants to know? I mean scientifically, you know, documented documentaries, police reports and stuff. And I was actually really super surprised. Some of these people that have retired that were state police or they were Texas Rangers, some of them out by Skin Walker Ranch, which we'll get into that later. But they're in that area, have come across these creatures. And when they're interviewing them and they're talking about them, and a lot of people say, oh, that's just good TV. No, you look at these people and they're scared.
Yeah.
They still remember when they first saw it, and it could be years, but it scares the crap out of them. And they say, yeah, no, so did you ever go back in the woods? Did you ever go back hunting? Or did you ever see anything on that road again? You know, nope, we never did it. We're not going back. What
Right,
would make
exactly.
them say that? I mean, they were cops. Or they, like I said, they were rangers or whatever. You know, that's a lot to get up and say in front of people in your community. At least I think it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it is, because just like when you tell people, you know, you talk to dead people, you see ghosts, you see spirits, they give you that look, the tilted head of like, okay, all righty then.
Get the padded room, right?
It's something where people have to have that experience in order to believe. They don't just believe. But I fully believe in all kinds of spirits and all kinds of entities and beings. I mean, look at how much of the ocean we don't even know, and the creatures that they're finding all the time. The insect world. They find new insects all the time that they've never discovered before. So why is it so impossible to believe? Only because they're huge?
Well, people say, well, where's their evidence of them? I don't see them. Wouldn't they be buried there or whatever? And it's like, you know, they probably have their own rituals and they probably don't want to be found. And like I said,
my guess is it's probably underground.
Yeah, it's 65% of the earth, folks, that we haven't even explored. Now, the show that I'm talking about with the gal on it, I like that because they really approach things scientifically.
Right.
And yeah, you know, it's on TV, yeah, whatever. But then if you go and you start reading about what they've done and how they've researched and stuff, and they have biologists, they send stuff into labs to get it checked. Now, the last season on this, and this was kind of mind-blowing too. They were out, and I'll tell you what, if I was out in the middle of the woods, which I can't do anymore because I'd probably die out there because I can't walk. But when you hear those cries, like though it's not human, it's not a wolf. So they would record them and then they would play them back like out and they would get replies. So it's like, okay, so you're saying that that's what? Like, what is it?
Right.
It's not a wolf. It's not a coyote. It's not a bear or a moose. So what is it?
Right.
And I know there have been a lot of hoaxes over the years. Matter of fact, I think it was in the 60s, two guys that were out like on the trail with the horses and going hunting and all that. They took something and they found out, yeah, it was somebody dressed up, you know, back in. Not all the stuff that's coming out now is that way because people want to know. People want to know.
And with the internet and social media and more people, like-minded people coming together, more people who have experienced the same things now exchanging notes with each other, you know, it's like more curiouser and curiouser, isn't it?
There was, and I don't know if you saw this or not, but there was I think it was on the Travel Channel, and it was set up in Alaska, and it was with the tribe up in one of the big tribes up in Alaska, and they had gone down. Well, let me pull it up. I think I got it here. I'll just read it to you. It was actually probably better than listening to me. They call it neck to neck, and 70 years ago, they were in an area called Portlock, Alaska. Okay. The whole tribe was there, and they set up a cannery because they had fresh salmon, they had mussels, they had all this stuff right out in the bay. So this was a great way for the tribe to have money, make money, and be a bigger community to bring up their kids and everything. And they were there for a while, and they'd go out hunting too, because they didn't want to just obviously
I saw this clip. I saw this, yeah.
And they went up, and they wound up, some people got killed. But when they found them floating down the river, they were ripped apart, like not caught, not shot, ripped, like the arms and they were pulled apart, and they were left. And I feel that it was left as a warning. So they all basically got up and abandoned this island. They
I would too.
own it, but they had the women in the tribe, they'd go walking out to the edge of the woods to pick berries or stuff for herbs and stuff like that. And a couple of them came face to face with it, and they said they just kind of stood there like, holy crap, what do I do? And they turned and went away. And so when they interview these elders, they're not going to get on camera and lie. I mean, like, why would they do that, right?
Right.
So they sent the grandsons and great-grandchildren, a group of them, back to the island, modern day time, to check and see if they could go back to open the cannery again, because the land that they're on, they're overextended. It's like too many people in one spot. And these boys, well, they were men, but these young men went out there, and they knew the story, but they were sent to see if it'd be safe to go. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have stayed past the second day. I would have been gone. I would have been gone.
Yeah.
Gone. I mean, I don't know any other way to explain it.
Right.
You heard this thing screaming. They walked into the woods, and these great big 100-year-old trees are out there, like would take 4 of us to wrap our arms around it. Were taken out by the root, turned upside down, and slammed into the. What's going to do that?
Nope.
And it's like in the middle of a bunch of trees. It's like, no, I'm not going there. The dogs went out into the woods, and the dogs ran back to camp screaming, like squealing, because they were scared. So it's like, and there was a lot of bunk about it. A lot of people would say, oh, it's not real. It's not real. I think I would challenge any of them to go out.
I want the people that say it's not real to go spend a night there. Spend a couple of nights. Go ahead. Go on. Prove us wrong, and let us know how that turns out for you.
I just because we can't see things, or just because we're ignorant enough to think that we know everything about everything, doesn't mean things can't be true.
Also, here's another challenge for you to think about. Everything has its frequency. We are vibrating right here, right now, at a particular frequency. There are colors we can't see because they are a different frequency. There are certain animals that can see them, but we can't see them because we are not vibing at that frequency. So what's to say that there aren't creatures right outside this door where I'm sitting that I can't see because
100%.
the frequencies are so far off from each other that I don't even know they're right there watching.
I don't think people understand that there's so many possibilities, and there's so many things. Like, for us to believe we're the only people in this universe, like we're the only creatures in humanoid for whatever in the universe out on the other, that's kind of ignorant.
It's so stupid. It's ridiculous. It's like, come on, people. We are a speck of dust. We are smaller than a speck of dust. Like, and have you met people? They're not that bright.
Shh, don't tell everybody.
Even the smartest people that you know, in comparison, are probably not that bright.
I have a couple friends. These guys go up to Canada, and they get flown in the middle of, I don't know, Manitoba or wherever they're at. and they get dropped in by seaplane, and they have a lot. There's like a cabin that they rent out there, and they went in, and the first night I mean, you're talking isolated, just nothing there. They're right on the lake, and they go fishing. That's why they go up.
I'll find another fishing spot, thanks.
Well, the first night they were there, they had gone to bed so they could get up early the next morning, and something came and was pounding on the cabin wall and walked around it, and then went like into the wooded area again and did that same type of a yell or scream that you hear when
Look, I'm not even going to sleep outside with the raccoons and the possums. No. Every little sound, I'm going to be like, whoa, wait, what? No. And then if you have something that smells and is growling, you can forget it. You're not going to find me there. I'm not going to fuck around and find out.
Well, they said that it scared them, right? I mean, these are two middle-aged guys that have been going up for years, and they had heard stuff about the area, but they never really believed it. So they went in. So they were a little nervous. They waited till the sun came out, and they went out. And they went out to go fishing, and they looked all around, couldn't find nothing. So they got out in their little dinghy, aluminum foot thing to go out on the lake and fish. And when they looked up, they saw three what appears to be what people call Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever. It was what they're presuming it was a male, was really tall, and then it was like, the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, right? It was like boom, boom, and then a little one. And what they think is because it's so desolate up there that they're living there, and they were pissed because humans once again came to their like.
The next scene for me would be like out of a cartoon where I would be rowing so freaking quick, the opposite direction. There's no way. You've got something that can pick up a tree. I'm a big girl, but I'd still be terrified. No, thank you. Bye, Felicia.
They were stuck up there because they wouldn't have a person. The seaplane wasn't coming back for 4 days, like the morning they woke up. So they had like 4 days before the plane would come in. And they had all their supplies, but they were scared to death. So they actually wound up putting like a fire 24/7 around the, in front of the cottage.
What's a fire going to do?
Well, at least I guess they could see what's coming, but they haven't gone back.
I would want to see what's coming.
They haven't gone back. They never went back. And this was probably, I want to say late 90s, early 2000, like 2000. Yeah. And they won't go back. They'll never go back.
Well, at least they learned their lesson. Crying out loud. What's wrong with people? What's wrong with people?
But how many times do people have to? I mean, why do we have to see it to believe it? There have been casts, and actually, Gates, what's his name, that does exploration unknown. He actually went up where the Yetis are, up in that part of where the monks and things are. They actually got a cast of a foot, like feet, and they were huge. And he, like, when they found him, and he's on television, but he's also an archaeologist, even though he does it in a fun way for people. They found it. I mean, and the Tibetan priests that were up there were like, or the monks were like, yeah, we know it's here.
Well, this is the thing. If you go looking for something, I don't care what it is, you go looking for something, you're going to find something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, I had some. No. Tribally, a lot of indigenous people, and actually indigenous around the world, they look at like city people. I'll call us city people, right? They look at city people like, man, you guys are really dumb. You're really not using your head. This stuff is real. If you look in legend or lore, there's always truth within it. It might get changed, like that thing they told us when we were in school. Yeah, say something at one end, pass it through 30 people, and it changes. However, at the root of it, there's truth.
You're right. Right. They saw what they saw, and the way they describe it is what they saw. That gets changed throughout the years, and after it's retold and retold and retold, but it's still something that is unexplained and similar to the original storyteller.
Absolutely. And it's through oral history that we learn a lot of this stuff from the indigenous people. Like I said, even like over in Australia and Africa, I mean, they have things that they know. And, you know, look at voodoo. I mean, people are like, oh, yeah, you know, I would never mess with that.
No.
There's no way. And I can't tell you how it happens, but it happens. And so there's so much truth. So a friend of mine, every year, she goes for ceremony up in Manitoba. They go into the middle of nowhere. Again, it's not on the map. It's like pick it up and drop you there. So every year they go there for ceremony. It's to thank Creator for the bounty, to ask for help, whatever their ceremonies that they do. They're there for 2 weeks. Every night, this will tell you something. Every night, from the time they get there, they go to the edge of this clearing where the woods start, and they place big, huge bags of potatoes and onions. For whatever reason, potatoes and onions. And they've done this for years, right? Years and years. Goes back. That's what they get up in the morning, the potatoes and the onions are gone. People don't have them. They're gone. They weren't dragged off by a bear. They were just
magic.
Gone. And then you hear, she'll say, you'll hear them calling to each other like a pack of coyotes would the whole time they're there. But they have to appease them by putting out these huge 25-pound bags of onions and 25 pounds of potatoes. And they put them in for the 7 directions. She said they put 7 out all the way around, clockwise, counterclockwise, whatever, in that clearing. They're gone every night. Nobody will sit outside of their tents or whatever they erect to be able to sleep in. No one. And it's out of respect that they feel that they're giving them, by giving them this food, that they're left alone.
Right.
So why would you do that for years and years and years, and the stuff goes? Why would you do that? I mean, like, that's why I don't understand why people can't think it's a possibility that it can happen. It can be.
Right.
Do you remember the movie was called Last of the Dog Soldiers? And it was with Tom Berenger and, who's the one? I can't remember her name. The one that was in Alien movies, Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And she was an anthropologist and he was a tracker. He was just a dumb guy, tracker, you know, back of the woods type guy. And they wound up finding, and I know this was a movie, they wound up finding, again, this was in the U.S., but up in the area that we have not, the Northwest, where we have not gone into the woods or looked for. And they found a tribe that was living when the white people came in. This is where they went, and they flourished. And I thought, you know, that can be so true because we don't know. We don't know there. I think we should take a trip.
Nope.
Look, we're closer to yours. We can go up in the mountains by you. We can go.
Look. My friend Jenny, just 1 mile away from my house, a few years back, she had a bear paw print in her garden. Because we have like over 100 acres. I think it's 200 acres that of our properties back up to that is just the wildlife. You don't see any of us up in the woods looking for that bear.
There's some big bears in there too.
Yeah, we're not going looking for it. No. I'm not going to go look for some creature that can pick up a dang tree and slam it down like a ball bat. You can forget that. Or a skinwalker. That's where, no. Nope.
Okay, so you brought the skinwalker up. So now we're going to talk Skinwalker.
1,000% alien on that one. 1,000.
I believe that. I also believe, though, that the tribes out there and the Ute tribes and the Navajo that are out there, and they were battling a lot back in the day over property and land. And one was said to put a curse, but what they did, and this is another thing people need to, you may not understand what people do as far as shamans or medicine people. You may not understand it. You may think it's hoax, but I can guarantee you, if they are true to who they are within their tribe or clan and are respected and they do this, I wouldn't mess with them. And it is said that that's what happened because they were fighting and warring over this property, that the Utes cast a curse with their shaman. And what they would do, this is really wild, but it's kind of scary at the same time. They're warriors that had passed, that had died, right? But they were warriors. They would call them back, right, to take the shape of these things, right? Creatures. And there's another word for them other than skinwalkers. But
I think they're just like Bigfoot. There's quite a few different words.
And they were put in place by this shaman to take care of the problem of trespassing from the other tribes. And this goes back into the early 1800s that all this happened. Now, there was, I'll never forget this interview. This guy, they don't even want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. It's taboo to talk about it. And as the younger people are starting to grow up, they come back and they'll tell tales. But when they look at the people that they're getting interviewed by or whatever, they're like, are you sure? You know, we know we're being interviewed for this, and we know we want to, but we're still a little leery about it because we just don't know. So there again, this guy was a Texas Ranger and he had retired and he took a job up near Skinwalker Ranch. Okay, well, Skinwalker Ranch has had that name for a long time because it's on that property divide line between the Ute and the Navajo. And he was up there and he got called out somewhere and they were saying it was like cattle, like they had cattle or they had livestock out on their property. And he was called out because they said this wolf was out there and it was tearing up the cattle. So he got the call, he shot out there, got as quick as he got, that whatever, the wolf was still out there tearing up this cow. The guy in the house said he had taken pot shots at it with his rifle. He thought he hit it, but it didn't even move. So the cop's like, well, that's one bad wolf. We need to go out there. Well, they got out there. The thing stood up upright. And he said, I have never been so scared in my life. And I just kept shooting at it. And you could see, like, they take a shot and you could see it, like, jerk back. And then it just got up and it looked at him with, you know, because it had been eating the cow. And it turned around and it ran off. But when it ran off, it was like it was there and then poof.
Gone.
Like it would go through a dimension.
Right.
And I'm sitting here and I'm watching this man and he's
again, think about frequencies.
Yep. 100%. 100%. And that's what they did. Actually, they did an experiment on the ranch just last night. They had it on. And I was like, holy crap, I never really thought about that. And that's what you're talking about, frequencies. And that's what they were doing to get light anomalies to come out.
So imagine, understanding that, like on TikTok, they had a video the other night, and Robert, my husband, he has bad hearing for when he was in the military. He didn't always use earplugs, and yeah. So his higher tones are like, he can't hear them. When we were in Savannah last year and the cicadas were going crazy, and you know how loud those are. Yeah. He could not hear them. Wow. Because they were a frequency that were above his hearing level. And so that thing the other day was showing the different frequencies and you could see what frequency you could hear to. So if there's sound frequencies that we can't hear, they're still existing. They're still there. That frequency is there. We just don't have the ability to hear it. It's the same thing with vision and other things. All your other senses.
Right.
So imagine that there is people or creatures that can change their own frequency.
Yeah, really, why not? Just because we haven't.
Well, that's what spirits do. That's
Yep.
what spirits do. If it comes in a full body, you can see it. That's its frequency. It has changed its frequency to make us able to see it.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and I don't think people take that into account. And I know some people are just getting to the point right now where they're thinking, oh, well, maybe there's vortexes out there. Maybe there's black holes out there that they can jump through. Maybe there's whatever. I just feel that they're kind of a foot here and a foot wherever, and they can do the flap whenever they want to. And I it's kind of scary. I don't think I'd want to mess with them a whole lot. I just don't think I would.
I think of it more of like the spider web of life, and in the spirit world, you can be in multiple places at once,
right?
Because you are energy. So just like the electricity runs from the wherever it's generated all out everywhere, that's the same electricity right there, but it's going everywhere, and so it is everywhere at once.
Yeah, that really makes sense. That makes way big sense. And
so wherever they want to come into, that's where they come into.
Well, we actually, up where I am, about 40 minutes west of me, they have seen a creature.
Mothman?
No. Well, he's up in New York. Yeah, that's a whole other story we can get into. I have thoughts, actually, a lot of thoughts about that. But Mango does too. Mango's screaming over here. There was a skinwalker type creature, a wolf that stood very tall on 2 feet, that was caught. Several people have seen it in the Huron Forest here in Michigan. I don't think I'd want to go out at night by myself or even with one other person. But it's also been seen up in Wisconsin. But it's like a regular thing in Wisconsin. And they've actually seen the thing run. There's been photographs taken of how it goes through the path. And for some reason, it stays up on Bray. It's called Bray Road. And when I first heard that story, I thought, oh my gosh, that's the Dog Man of Michigan. So it's like, but that makes sense. Like that whole area. And it's like people have seen it. People are scared to say they've seen it. Then, of course, you get the high schoolers that, oh, we're going to go out and look. And, you know, I don't think I'd be wanting to go out and look for the thing.
No.
When you see grown men and women and they're legitimately scared or don't want to talk about stuff, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah. Not kind of creepy. It is creepy.
Well, again, there's got to be some basis, right? Some basis for the.
And I have seen some creepy things in my lifetime. I've dealt with all kinds of entities, things that have manifested, and it always cracks me up when people say spirits can't touch you if you don't believe them. They can't hurt you. Bullshit. I was laying in bed one night in Illinois. My husband was laying next to me, and suddenly I had this impression that made me open my eyes, and there was a window kind of toward the foot of our bed. And it's plenty far enough away that I couldn't reach it from the bed. Had to be 5 or 6 feet away. That there's a thing came through the window, and it reminded me of like Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
It reaches through the window and yanks the comforter off the whole king-size bed. My husband sat up in the bed and was like, what's going on? What'd you do? I said, I didn't do nothing. I'm sitting right here, laying right here, and the comforter is at the bottom of our bed over by that window.
Yeah, that's creepy. That's like really creepy.
It's, super creepy. So I have dealt with all kinds of spiritual, paranormal crap that, no, I'm not going to look for anything. You tell me your house is haunted, Well, I say move.
Well, there is way, there are ways to protect ourselves, obviously, but
Yes,
when you
but
don't know what's
if a
coming at
spirit
you,
wants to get you, I don't care how much sage you burn in that house. That spirit's going to get you.
yeah,
And even saying that, if that spirit really wants you, it'll follow you out the house, down the
oh
road,
yeah,
wherever you go.
yeah, that's a given. Well, and that's a big thing too. I always laugh, and I laugh and I roll my eyes, and so does Taylor. And I haven't watched them in a long time, but the guy that's been on that kind of started it all. He always goes in, and within 10 minutes, we always have a bet. So how long do you think it's going to be before he rolls on the floor and says he's possessed or a demon's got him? Right? For me, okay, and I know people that have worked on it. It's BS that he's a lot of it of what he's doing. And for me, that sets a very dangerous precedent for people that are watching and think, oh, I watched this, so I know what I have to do. Ooh, it's cool. Let's go do it. That's the biggest no-no of all.
Yeah,
Of
no,
all.
no. Don't
Things,
believe everything you see on TV, first of all.
things
They're there to make a production, to make money, to keep you watching. So, yeah, whatever. No.
and things that we can't explain are out there. They
Yeah,
can come through. I've dealt with them with clients. I've dealt with them with houses. I've dealt with, and it can be a lot. It can really be a lot, and it can make people sick. But with that said, also, not all spirit is like that.
right. No, no, no.
And
I
it's
think the percentage is very small, actually.
that's why that's another thing, because people say, oh well, I'm kind of scared, and but you've asked for so and so that's passed over, that was your good friend or a family member, you've asked them to come and show you. If you put up that door and don't allow it, you'll never get messages.
Right, right.
Yeah, we have to be cautious sometimes, and it makes me crazy when young people do crazy stuff. And I had one client one time was having huge issues and didn't know why all of a sudden she got sick. And when I started working with her, I could see a big circle with candle drippings. And I said, you need to go to your bedroom, move your bed, and pull the rug. And she was like, what? I go, this is what I'm seeing. And she went in there. It took a lot of like cajoling to get her to do it. Just humor me. Just humor me. And she went in there, and the kids had gone in there, adult children, and had done something and possibly summoned something to the house. And she immediately left. And it took 6 months for them to get the attachment off of her. And that was working with elders in a clan.
Hold on.
Yep.
A second. I just have to unlock the door.
Okay. Was a clan around her that had medicine people that were there. And the medicine people were elders. They were the only ones that could actually get this attachment off of her. But it took like 6 months. So, yeah, stuff happens, bad stuff happens, but you also have to remember it's almost like we let them in. Like if you're really negative about life, or that's what they prey on. So if you're not like that, it's not difficult to communicate with our loved ones.
Right, right. It's more of, well, I mean, we're all different. Of course, I'm a little different. I can see, hear, speak, I can communicate. But even someone that's never opened that door, if they will stop trying to do it with their physical self, it's hard to make someone understand that you have to detach from the physical hearing, the physical seeing, and you have to sense with your spirit, and you see them with your spirit. You see them right here, not right here. Even though it feels like you're seeing them here, you're really seeing them here. And you're hearing them with this as well.
Well, and it can be in dream state. It can be in a lot of ways. But as far as getting things that you don't want, don't go looking for them.
Oh yeah, don't go
Or,
looking for the
if you
bear in the woods.
Or if you're over by Holly and you want to go, check the woods out, just go in and grab her. Don't tell her where you're going, and just pull her in, right?
Oh no, I'm not going up there. No, no, thank you. I'm going to carry some bear spray. I'm going to carry me some weapons of some sort, and I'm going to have my get the hell out of here shoes on.
Let's see if I've got any commercials. Okay. Oh, here. Have you ever been held down and cannot move?
Yeah, that's sleep paralysis.
Yeah. And that can be kind of difficult too, because sometimes
it's terrifying. You can't scream, you can't speak, you can't move. You feel like you are paralyzed.
It's not always brought on by spirit. Sometimes it can be, but not always.
It depends on the situation, but I have been both, where it was like a sleep paralysis and being held down by spirit.
Yeah. Oh, look. Holly leaves her barn door open all the time for Bigfoot.
The barn door doesn't close.
Yeah.
Only one side is closed. The other part of the door has been taken off by a storm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're agreeing with spirit and what's coming through here. Let me just look at it this morning. But yeah, and you brought up, and like I said, the creature of Bray Wolf or Bray Road, the stuff that I've researched with it, because it's close to where I am over the years. Cops have seen something running across the road. I mean, so it's not just young people or people that want to make a name for themselves. Actually, a lot of them are like, we're anonymous. We don't want anybody, people who are telling you this. So they're going to disguise our voice and muff out our face.
Right, exactly.
And it's when I found out that it was here by our area, like I said, maybe half hour, 40 minutes into the woods by us, the Huron Forest, I talked to some of the DNR officers, and they had stories, and they're like, we can't tell you what it is. They do know that there's burial mounds out in the woods, and they've actually kind of secured them off and not allowed people to go in there, but that's a lot of where the things happen.
You see, I'm a curious person by nature, and most of the things I know was because I was too curious. All right. I wanted to know. But there are certain things. I'm not that stupid. I'm not that dumb. Look, you tell me there's a skinwalker around your property, I believe you. I'm not going there. I'm taking your word for it. No. Bigfoot, same thing. More. I'm not pitching a camp in the middle of Bigfoot's house, waiting on him to come, rip my head off. Some people are just stupid.
Well, you brought up Mothman. Okay, so
because he's even been seen, Mothman has even been seen out here in the Nashville area in Middle Tennessee toward Mount Juliet and Lebanon in the middle of the day.
So what do you think Mothman is?
Oh, that's another alien type being.
So this may sound strange, but you know how we are, you and me both, and I'm sure people looking at us like, oh, here we go, Bear's got another one. When I got interested in Mothman, I don't even remember. It was a number of years ago, probably my first back surgery. I couldn't do anything else, so I was researching and looking things up and getting hold of the library and microfiche and all that. Okay, so I read all the stuff about the first sighting of the Mothman, and I read what it was about and what was going on in that town. And
you saw the movie?
No, I didn't. Never saw the movie.
Oh, you got to watch the movie. Yeah, there's a movie.
I know there was a movie.
With Richard Gere as the main character.
No, never saw it.
Oh, it's good.
Well, what I sat with that, and I went to sleep one night, and you get into that in-between, and I know whenever I get in that in-between, they're going to show me stuff. And when I woke up from it, I thought, dang, that kind of makes sense. What I think the being, I won't even call it a creature because it's a being, is a fallen angel. And this is what I was told.
You could be, I mean,
they come when there's death around. Okay.
Yep.
or there's a warning for people to not do what they intended on doing because death can follow.
And that story from the movie that talks about, or the original sighting and that bridge. Look, I have got freaking goosebumps all over me. My hair is standing on end. He came to that guy as a warning so that he saved that woman. I'd like to know what has happened to them now. Like, why did they need to be saved? What happened after that?
Oh, I never really heard that. I just kind of followed the trail of when he would pop up, or I'm just saying he, but as it would follow different tragedies. And yeah, it was actually in the city as well. It wasn't just in the country setting. And I actually, when I got up, I thought, that kind of makes sense. Now, of course, if you don't believe in the divine energies that they can come down and that's up to you. But to me, that made more sense. And then every time I'd see a new story about it, it would be very similar. And I thought, yeah, it's like having an angel of death coming, or a protector to say, hey, here I am. I'm stuck here because I'm a fallen angel, but I need to make my way. And this is what I was told. I need to do things to make my way back to the other side. Okay.
Right.
And every time I see a news story about it, it kind of gives me goosebumps, because it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And I think with the wings, or how the people see them, I think, yeah, wings would make sense if we traditionally go, as people have seen from biblical times,
right,
that they put wings on angels, right? Or beings, right?
But it's a moth, human looking type thing, and it's all about its eyes and the sound, the frequency coming off of that being.
Yes. And and I know you have, I've worked with the divine energies. Matter of fact, not this Tuesday.
And angels don't look like anything like what they depict them to look like.
No, and they ring your ears like it's a pitch that's so high and squeal. It makes my ears pop.
Yeah, I get that all the time.
So when you look at these type of things, it's like, yeah, why can't they come from another dimension? Why can't Sasquatch or Natanak go between worlds? Why do they have to be from here? And then you look, another thing, then you go back to Skinwalker, right? Skinwalker Ranch has been on target since like the 70s, I want to think back to, where they were saying there was cattle mutilations and strange lights and stuff in the sky.
What if Skinwalker Ranch was their original home place?
Could very well be. Because they've got stuff up in the canyon rocks and stuff.
Or the actual portal where they come and go. Yeah. That's what they believe.
Yeah. And that's what they're testing. They're testing the vibrations that they can't explain. This really super high frequency, like, where's it coming from? It's coming from the middle of the rocks. And then when that gets aggravated, they see stuff in the sky, or they see these skinwalkers around. And it's not just on the ranch. You'll have the people that are neighbors that come up and say, yeah, when you guys were doing this, and, we had this happen. The other year, I was watching, what was I watching? And they were talking about the lights. And you'll see nowadays, everybody's got phones, right? Everybody's got cameras on their phones. So they're out there taking pictures. And I remember, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying, that they said, we saw this like glowing light, like it was huge, and it went past us. And then we sped up to kind of catch to where it was. And it was like on a back road, right? And then they just stopped because it split off into two, like it broke into two. It was like coming at them. And I'm thinking, why in God's name would you want to sit there to find out if they were going to come back? I would have been gone. So that's
bye, Felicia. I'm gone. I'm not hanging around.
You mean you don't want to get your camera out and take pictures of it?
No. No, I don't.
So, again, that goes back to, if we think we're the only beings in the universe, that's pretty ignorant statement. And I would
Yeah.
imagine that if these creatures or beings,
There has to be more intelligent life somewhere. I'm just saying.
but they have to be more intelligent than us because
Yeah.
they can do this.
Right.
Does
And
anyone
I
ever stop?
wholeheartedly believe it's all about manipulating frequencies. 100%.
Well, they found and again, I'm going back to the show last year, they drilled into the mesa, into the rock area of Skinwalker Ranch, and they hit something, and they couldn't go any farther. But it was like at the bottom of this crevice and hill, mountain, mesa, whatever you want to call it. And when they pulled the bit out, the bit was flat, but it had flakes of metal on it, like looked like metal. So they had run water through the drill bit to flush stuff out, and all this kind of metal came out, right? And they picked it up and they're like, what the heck is this, right? Well, the one guy he's an astrophysicist, actually. Him and the other guy that's doing the frequency end of the studies, they bagged this stuff up and they went to somewhere in Utah to some professor that's like top on the United States, and they analyzed it. And had mostly the alloys of what we do now in modern time for NASA, who sends up spaceships. It was made out of that, but then there was a part of it that they didn't know what it was. They no way. And how they made, and it flaked off. He says that's not possible. But yet it is, because you got it in your hand.
Right.
So that's another thing to me. And I just sit there and laugh, and I'm thinking, I know they're trying to get to what it was. And actually the government was there for many years trying to figure out what was the big deal with that.
Right.
But it's like, okay, so there's more proof. There's sentient beings from somewhere that can get here, go through wormholes, go through black holes, go through vortexes. Look at Sedona. I would think they'd be seeing a lot of that out in Sedona.
Yeah, I would totally think that. Yeah.
Because of all the vortex.
Right.
I had a friend go out there, and they said they were out there, and there's this one area where the stones, just because of the magnetic energy with the earth and that, it creates its own vortex. And these little pebbles, I actually have some somewhere, they were spinning in this little tiny area of a vortex. And they said it was the wildest thing they've ever seen. And I go, but see, that just tells us science doesn't match where we're at yet.
No. And just look at, there are different kinds of octopus and other kinds of fish that they go completely translucent, completely clear. You would not know they're there. They have the ability to go back and forth from some sort of color to then suddenly translucent. So why can't beings that are not in the ocean do the same thing?
Well, we don't even know what's in the ocean. They haven't even got a third of the creatures that are in the ocean.
Right.
They've only been able to get down.
People seem to rationalize that, well, it's a fish thing. They can do that. It's okay. But they don't think that other physical being that's not in the water can do the same thing. Why couldn't they?
Yeah. Well,
if a water animal could do it, why couldn't a mammal do it?
There was 2 years ago. I don't remember the guy's name. He's like a billionaire, millionaire, I don't know. But he got all these scientists, put this team together to make a small sub that could go underwater to extreme pressures, like never been before. And he went to the 5 deepest trenches that we know of the ocean, and went down in 4 of them. He made it into 4 of them. He went lower than any human being had ever been. I couldn't do it because I'm claustrophobic. And they showed when they shut the lights off on the sub, it was like black. I mean,
black is black.
Nothing. Then they put these iridescent, like to get iridescence off, and there was all this life under there that was like jellyfish and other weird looking fish, but they were all like iridescent, but they're surviving down there. They even found a giant squid down there. And that, I believe, was the Asians, the Chinese or the Japanese. I'm not sure. I think it was Japan. And what it was they sent a camera down, like really deep, like to the bottom, as far as it could go. And they actually found a giant squid that we've never seen except washed up. And it was like looking at the camera like it was food. And this thing had to be like 50 feet long. And it's like, we've never seen it. We've only seen dead ones. And here it is.
Yep.
So how amazing, I mean, to me, that all these things interact with us here on Earth. I just think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
I'll have to put a yell out, and we'll send you some screams for Bigfoot. You can
no.
back porch, and you can see if you can do a test for us.
No.
Do a test for us. Do it. I had UFO out here. That was bad enough. I had a UFO out here. I don't know if you remember this. This is when we were on the radio. Do you remember this? It was 2010 in the winter. I was so scared by this thing that I called Papa Ken Quiet Hawk and Mama on the phone and said, you have to talk to me. And they said, well, what's going on? I told him. He goes, that's weird. Are you sure it's not military? I go, no, whatever room I go to, it flutters around the house and it's sitting by the window. It was there for like an hour and a half. And then it would go above a little bit, right? And I'm like, what the heck is that? I called the state police. I said, what's going on? You guys got something going on? No, but we've been getting a lot of phone calls. And it's like, yeah, no, I had somebody on the phone. I was scared to death. Yep. I was out here over my lake.
Why didn't you go out and take some pictures?
No, I took the phone. I was hiding in the bathroom where the windows are small. Yeah, I was hiding there.
You were supposed to go out and say hello and introduce yourself.
I would have if I would have known what it was.
You never know.
But I didn't want to be beamed up. We have a lot of people. Same thing with the thing that runs around the Wolfman or whatever, giant wolf, Skin Walker, whatever it is. We have a lot of those people, but we've also got a lot of people, and I actually know 4 personally, that say that they were taken, like they lost time. Yeah. And if you come to Michigan, there's a lot of water. We have big lakes, right? You can sit on the beach in your car at night and look up, and they're not satellites, because satellites, you can track them and they move. They're not planes. They're not, you can cross all the little I's and cross the T's and dot the I's. It's not that, but you can sit there, and it's not a falling star, but you can watch them. And I've known that since I was a kid. But to see something over my lake, let me tell you, and it was humming. You could hear the hum through the house, and it was in the winter. And Dad goes, well, what does it look like? And I like do one of those, like, well, I can see this, and it's kind of spinning, but there's like this sound. And the cops wouldn't even go out. They had so many calls from everybody here.
I don't blame them. I'm not going to go looking for it either.
They said, call us when you come back. And I didn't think that was funny. It was like, no. So, yeah. There's stuff out there, guys. Some of it. Yeah.
There's all kinds of things out there that people just don't realize. And like I said, a lot of people, they don't even realize all the spirits around them, then alone other things.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Well, I even posted today, or yesterday maybe it was, I posted a picture. I had never seen this kind of eagle. To me, it didn't look anything like an eagle. And I posted it over in group. It was a beautiful bird. I never even heard of it. And it just had this really weird feathering and head, and it was big. And this wildlife photographer waited for years, and he finally caught it. And it's amazing. So there's a lot of stuff out there we don't know what it is. So, well, guys, we've been here for a little over an hour already. So we're going to scoot this week. But Holly and I were talking before the show, and what we'd like you guys to do is if you have any clips, paranormal clips or sightings of spirit or stuff that you've done, you know, with testing like equipment or whatever, send it to us, okay? You can get a hold of either one of us on Facebook or Instagram, and her on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok yet, but
find me on TikTok.
You know, look for us and send us. We'll give you our emails at that time, and you can email us your clips. You know, because there's a lot of you guys that have gone out on investigations, and some people just like us that are sitting in our house and see weird stuff happen. Okay, so send us those clips. We've got a couple clips to share with you guys, and we're going to talk about spirit next week.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think it is. I always look forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, guys, make sure you do that. And until next Wednesday, it's Bear Out and Holly's just sitting there. She's not saying anything.
Wyatt. The wolf.
Oh, okay. So you want me to call you Wyatt instead of your name?
You can call me whatever you want to call me.
Sister.
Holly, Raven, Wolfbird, Wyatt.
Yeah. Find us, send us those clips, and we'll see you next week, guys. I hope you're a little amused and kind of pique your interest to go out and kind of do a little bit of research. All right,
stay out of the woods.
See you next Wednesday, guys. Bye.
Bye.